Warren Buffett, one of the most famous investors of all time, well known for turning Berkshire Hathaway into a billion-dollar conglomerate and becoming one of the richest men in the whole world from investing. This has led him to get the nickname the Oracle of Omaha. But did you know that Warren Buffett credits a lot of his success to reading books? He himself said that he used 80% of his day just reading, and he used to read 500 pages a day. It's said that when you read a book on a subject, you know more than 99% of people on that subject, so you become an expert by reading. So here are all books recommended by Warren Buffett, the full exhaustive list that will make you into an investing genius if you read a part of it. If you read not even all of it, but just a part of it. So let's start. The first book recommended by Warren Buffett is the most well-known and obvious one. It is The Intelligent Investor. This book is one of the best books written on investing of all time. It's written by Warren Buffett's mentor, Benjamin Graham. And it covers everything, all from the basics, from the distinction between investment, trading, how to do analysis. If you know nothing about investing, this is the book to start with. This will give you the knowledge. This will put you ahead of 99% of people on investing, and it will teach you everything you need to know. If you need to read just one book on investing, it's this one. Now, the second book recommended by Warren Buffett is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. This is the people's favorite. This book covers the journey of Phil Knight, of how he created his companies from his basement. It covers everything, and it gives you a very unique perspective on investing. It teaches you how a company operates from the inside, how a company grows, how it gets its money, its capital from. This is an absolute read. Number 3, and another one of the very famous one, is Security Analysis by Benjamin Graham. This book is very big, it's a brick, and this book covers everything. It's a bit old book, it's written in a little old language, and it's very exhaustive. This one goes very in-depth. So I will not recommend this as the first book, but if you have read a book on investing like The Intelligent Investor, this is a very obvious follow-up, because this goes incredibly deep into security analysis, much more than any other book. So if you want to buy stocks, this one teaches you how to do it, and it goes incredibly in-depth. The fourth book recommended by Warren Buffett, another classic and favorite, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. A lot of people that are experts in the self-growth sector and the personal development sector, they all give this book an A rating. This book teaches you not only how to interact with people and win friends in the business world, but also just in general in your personal world, in your personal life. It will help you grow as a person. So this one, absolutely recommended, approved by Warren Buffett. Next one is Stress Test by Timothy Geithner, which was the US Treasury Secretary under the 2008 financial crisis, and this book is all about the 2008 financial crisis. So if you want to see how it started, follow all the things that led to the crisis and how it was solved, this book is an absolute read. Next book recommended by Warren Buffett is Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits by Philip A. Fisher. This book is all on stock analysis, and it teaches you all the things you should consider when you're buying a stock. So Warren Buffett approved. This one is The Little Book of Common Sense Investing. It's written by Bogle, which is one of the most famous value investors of all time, and he has a big following, and this is their Bible. This is how you analyze stock by the Bogle method. Now, the next book recommended by Warren Buffett is Influence, The Secret of Persuasion by Cialdini. So this book is very well researched and actually tested, and it explores the psychology of why people say yes and all about persuasion. So it's a really interesting psychological book. Next is Seeking Wisdom by Peter Bevelin. This book explores the psychology of the Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett investment. So it's a really interesting book. And then you have Poor Charlie's Almanac, which is written by Warren Buffett's colleague, Charlie Munger. And this is all also about the psychology of investment, the investment psychology of Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. And it's an incredibly interesting read, highly rated too. So it's an absolutely Warren Buffett approved. Now, the next one recommended book is Outsiders by William Thorndike. So this book is all about CEOs. What makes a CEO a good CEO? Today there's a lot of flashy CEOs that goes into the media, on social media, try to get a lot of fame, try to pump up the stock prices. But what makes a CEO actually a good CEO? Make them good at resource allocation. This book is all about that. This Warren Buffett recommended book is a very famous book. It's the Short History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson. So this book is a very famous popular science book. It's, as it says in the title, it goes through the history and tries to explore different sides of science. So it's not investment related, but it's a very interesting book. The next book recommended by Warren Buffett is The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates, which is the wife of Bill Gates. So this book is all about empowering women, how empowering women will help the world, and how investing in women is the way to go forward. So it's an interesting book. It's an interesting book and a very different perspective that you may not hear that much in the business world. And the next book recommended by Warren Buffett is Tools and Weapons. This book is written by Brad Smith, which is the former president of Microsoft. This book is all about problems with the digital world and potential solutions to these problems that the digital world, the digital technology is bringing. So it's a very interesting book, and Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger does this a lot. There are sectors that they don't have that much knowledge about, and as I said, if you read one book about a topic, you know more about the topic than 99% of people. So they read the different kinds of subject and learns a lot, and this book is a great example of that. Charlie Munger, written by Griffin, is the next book recommended by Warren Buffett. So this book contains a lot of quotes from Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, and it sums up their investment strategy and philosophy. The next book after that, recommended by Warren Buffett, is The Most Important Thing Illuminated by Mark Howard, which was the chairman of the Oak Tree Capital Management, and he's a very famous equity manager. And he, in this book, sums up his investment strategy and how he assessed the market a lot better than other people did, to be completely honest. After that, it's one of the most classic, famous investment book, which is Where Are the Customers' Yachts? Fred Schroed Jr. And this book is 70 years old, but the principle in this book still stands, and it's still one of the best books out there on investing. And it's an absolute recommended read if you're going to invest your money into stocks. Because despite it being 70 years old, it's written very funny, it's a lot of humor on it, and it's all about where are the customers' yachts, I guess. When you look at Wall Street, all the managers are very rich, all the people providing the services are very rich, but the customers are not necessarily rich. So it's all about the difference between speculation and investment. Now, Business Adventures by John Brooks is the next book recommended by Warren Buffett. This book contains 12 tales from Wall Street and the corporate life of America, and it gives an insight into the corporate life. It gives an insight on the mechanics of finance, on why it's so unstable and how things can change really fast, and it contains a lot of disaster stories. Next recommended book by Warren Buffett is the memoirs of Catherine Graham called Personal History. Catherine Graham led her family business, the Washington Post, for decades throughout Watergate, and it's her memoirs, and it won a Pulitzer Prize. Warren Buffett, as a big fan of Google, recommended 2 additional books of Google. One is Common Sense on Mutual Funds, which is all about why you should invest in index funds. It explains why you and me, we are not Warren Buffett, and index fund is the best way to go. The other one is Clash of Cultures, which is all about the difference between investing and trading, which is an absolutely incredible read. And another Warren Buffett recommended book is Keeping At It by Paul Volcker. So Paul Volcker was the former chairman of the Fed, and he is famous for trying to curb fast-growing inflation. So this is his memoirs, and he explains a lot of the more regulatory side of finance and investing. But the next book recommended by Warren Buffett is also one of the most famous ones, which is Essays of Warren Buffett, which is a collection of all the letters from Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger to the shareholders of Berkshire, and it's collected by Lawrence Cunningham. So this is it's a very thick book, it's a lot of letters, and you learn everything from investment strategies to corporate, to how you analyze corporations, and an inside look into the soul of corporations, and it's also a little bit about CEOs in there. But it's probably not the first book you should start with. It's a lot of investment jargon in there, so it could be. It's better if you already read the book on investment and has some. There's 2 books about self-made billionaire that is recommended by Warren Buffett. So the first one is The Man Behind the Microchip, and it's all about the story of. It's written by Leslie Brown, and it's all about the story of Intel and Fairmont and about Silicon Valley. So the beginning of Silicon Valley. The second book recommended is Jack by Jack Welch. This book is all about, well, Jack Welch, the founder of General Electric, and it follows him through more than 20 years of history. And in both these books, you learn a lot about how it is to be an entrepreneur, starting a company, the process, and there's two different types of companies too, so these ones are very insightful. The next book recommended by Warren Buffett is Bull by Maggie Maher. This is all about the cycles in an economy, the bull cycles and the bear cycles. So it's a very interesting book. It's a book that gives an insight into the financial world. So if you're interested into that, you should definitely go for it. The next book recommended by Warren Buffett is a very classical economy book. So Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money, and it's written by no one than Keynes himself. So this book is a critique of the free economy or the laissez-faire economy policies that dominated in Keynes's period, and it arguments for the intervention of the government to curb big inequalities. So it's a very interesting read, and it's a book recommended by Warren Buffett. Next one is actually written by Warren Buffett's son, Peter Buffett. So you think that the son of Warren Buffett might have gotten incredible privileges and money, but this book is all about work ethic. So there's a distinction there where today a lot of the work ethic is gold towards money, and that's like the payout. But his book is his books explain why hard work and ethic and the journey is actually the purpose. So his book is called Life is What You Make It, and it's all about work ethic. So it's Secrets of Successful Sales by Alison Edgar is the next book recommended by Warren Buffett. The title might be obvious, it's all about sales, and it's actually a combination of psychology and sales, so you can grow your business and have higher sales. Next book recommended by Warren Buffett is Take on the Street by Arthur Levitt. So Arthur Levitt was the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and this book was published during a bear market, and it's all about how you can protect your money, and it's all about Wall Street culture, so you get an insight into it. Next book, the next two recommended books are actually Dream Big by Corena, which is a very interesting book because it's actually not from America but from Brazil, and it's all about these three brothers that managed to create this banking company, and they based the principles of their company on the most successful American companies. So it's all about their journey, and it's a really interesting journey. Next one is the book First a Dream by Jimmy Clayton. Now, Jim Clayton was an entrepreneur. He started from nothing, built this big company called Clayton Homes, and this book is all about that. And Clayton Homes was actually acquired by Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company. So it's a really interesting story to follow through, again, entrepreneurial stories. And entrepreneurial stories, if you're interested in stocks, it might not seem that interesting, but they're great books because they help you understand a business, how it works, how it grows, how important the managers are. It explains everything from the inside, so it's a very unique perspective. Super Money by Adam Smith is the next book recommended by Warren Buffett, and it's an absolute classic. It's written very hilariously, it's very funny, and it explains everything you need to know about investing. And it's all about also Wall Street culture and why you shouldn't be tempted by hot stocks. The next Warren Buffett recommended book is Keys of the Action, which is the next book on my personal reading list as well. It's all about credit. So it's all about the money revolution. Before, people used to normally save money, but now everyone has gotten a credit card. There's been a revolution in money with credit cards, and it's all about if has credit cards and credit being available to the common man, has it changed their lives for the better, or has it changed their lives for the worse because of the housing crisis and stuff like that. So it's all about how the money revolution, the credit being available, has changed things. Next recommended book is The Science of Hitting, and this book is all about baseball. It's all about how do you hit a ball perfectly. So this is a book everyone that likes baseball and coaches and teachers should read especially. One is the book called The Smartest Guy in the Room, and this book is all about Enron, this large gigantic company that just failed because they were fixing their books. So this book is all about the crisis, and it teaches you a little bit about science. You can see that there's something bad going on. The book is about nuclear terrorism, written by Graham Allison, which is one of the leading experts in national security and nuclear waste, and it's all about how terrorists can create an atomic bomb because of what's available out there and how this can be stopped. The book is The Farmer from Myrna, and this one is another entrepreneurial story of how the creation of an insurance company. So again, a great read to read through all the process of how an entrepreneur starts, how the company grows, how to seek money, how the stock exchange works. It's again great. Next recommended book is The Theory of Investment Value. So this was actually a PhD thesis at Harvard in the 1930s to 1920s, around that time. So it's a really old PhD thesis that was made into a book, and still to this day, it's still the leading book when it comes to evaluating a financial asset. So it's an absolutely read when it comes to finance. Is The Making of the President, and it's all about John F. Kennedy, his presidential campaign, and what he did right. So it's a very interesting read, especially for people like me that didn't live during the Kennedy era. Another Fisher classic is The Wealth Through Common Stocks. Again, this is all about analyzing stocks, and it's a very interesting read. Again, it's a great read if you want an introduction to finance and an introduction to stocks. Next one recommended book is actually not financial at all. It's The Quotable Einstein, and it contains over 1,600 over 1,600 Albert Einstein quotes, and it could be everything from race to human rights. It doesn't need to be physics. So it's a very interesting book with quotes from the man himself. The 1 Week Budget is another Warren Buffett classic. Now this book is very interesting because it's not about investing in stocks, but it's about a normal person managing their money, creating a budget, getting their finances in order, and it's an incredible, well-written book. So this is absolutely recommended. Next book recommended by Warren Buffett is an incredibly interesting book. It's also about the 2008 financial crisis. This book is written by all the 3 top architects together. It's written by Geithner, Bernanke, and Paulson, and it's called Firefighting. So it's all again about 2008 financial crisis. The 3 top architects come together and they reflect on what actually solved the financial crisis. So incredible book, absolute read. Next Warren Buffett recommended book is Wealth Choices, all about black millionaires. So it's no secret that if you're a minority, it's a lot harder to grow wealth. You have a lot more hardship in your way. And right now, 35% of all African Americans don't have any assets. So this book is all about the millionaires that had a lot of hardship in the way, and how they actually managed to get past those hindrances, how they got successful. And so it's some reflectives from all these millionaires. Next book is The Top 10 Commandments of Business Failure. It's written by the former executive of Coca-Cola, and even the smartest CEOs, the most shrewd executives can fail, and they can fail big. So this book is all about how they get themselves trapped, what can happen that even very intelligent people can fail at business. Next recommended Warren Buffett book is written by his son Howard, 40 Chances, and it's about if you get $3 billion and you get this money to save the problems in the world, what would you do? Now that was the task Warren Buffett's son got, and this book is about that. It's about trying to fix hunger. So it's a very nice and interesting read. Next Warren Buffett recommended book is In an Uncertain World. It's written by the former Treasury Secretary that led the Treasury Secretary during the longest expansion in the US history. So it's all about his journey to the decisions he took. So it's an interesting read. And next recommended book by Warren Buffett is Essays in Persuasion, and this is also a book by Keynes. This book came out in 1931, and it actually forecasts the rise of Germany, the troubles Germany would get if the Allies demanded too hard reparations. So this book came before its time, and it actually predicted all the things that happen in the future. And it's an incredibly interesting book, and it explains a lot of economical concepts, like macroeconomical concepts. Next book is Limping on Water. So this book is a rags to riches story, and there's a lot of hardship there. The person has cerebral palsy, and despite all that, he manages to work his way up as the first employee to become one of the top executives in America, despite all his hardships. It's a very fascinating rags to riches story that you can learn a lot from. And the last Warren Buffett recommended book is Investing Between the Lines by Written Out. So this book is all about the communication with the CEO. The CEO comes with a lot of statements, and it's all about reading between the lines and finding out what is the CEO's actually saying. And it's also a lot in the book about the fall of Enron and Lehman Brothers, and how you can recognize at-risk businesses based on what the CEOs are saying. So it's a very different book, and it gives a very interesting perspective to finance and investing that you wouldn't find elsewhere. Now, thank you for holding out and watching all the books recommended by Warren Buffett. Don't forget that if you read one book about a topic, you know more than 99% of people on that topic. So as you can see, a lot of these books about finance, about entrepreneurs, and they give different perspectives. But if you read one book on each category, you will learn tons and tons of investing, and you won't be led astray by false people promising big returns. The most important concept is probably the concept of investment versus speculation. Now, thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can support our channel, hit the like button, and also leave a comment if there's any book you want to recommend, or if you have any ideas or thoughts on any of these books. Thank you.